Hey everyone, Arthur here. Welcome to the second edition of Pickups from the Void. This time we're taking a look at everything I got during the second quarter of 2022. There are over 40 games to talk about this time, so buckle up, enjoy. Welcome to the channel. This is From the Void. Alright, to begin, let's review one of the huge boxes. Yeah, it's just a huge box with a handle on the top. If you have it, you probably already know what it is. By the size of it, you probably already know what it is too. I actually didn't know that the inner box was all white like this. The only thing not white is the logo there, so that gives it away also. I got, finally, this huge monster of a system, PlayStation 5. I know I'm late to the party, it's been almost 2 years already, but I was actually hoping to postpone even longer getting the PlayStation 5 because this generation is starting off slow, man. I mean, there are almost no games that need to be played on the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series for that matter. So I was hoping to postpone even longer. The one that got me was Final Fantasy VII Intermission. Which is not even a game, right? It's a DLC, but I'm a huge fan of Final Fantasy VII Remake, so since that game was released, I've been on the lookout for a PlayStation 5 in a good price. I got this one used. It was about 250 bucks below the price of a new one. Here in Brazil, prices for the PlayStation 5 are even more expensive. They're about 850 bucks or more, with the disc drive, of course. But the previous owner of this one was clearly trying to get rid of it as fast as possible, to get money as fast as possible. So he sold it for way less than usual, and even included 2 games with it. So here we have Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and Returnal. The Ratchet & Clank there, you can see it's written in Portuguese. We have a history here of butchering titles of movies and games. It doesn't say Rift Apart, it says In Another Dimension, so the ripped apart joke is lost in the translation, and the new name is completely generic, so why not keep the English name is beyond me, but whatever. Oh, and by the way, I've had some people asking about the number in the corner there. That's the Brazilian rating system. The number signifies the exact age suggested for playing the game, that's it. In terms of region, Brazil is always in the same region of the US. The box art and titles may vary a lot, like this one, but the game inside is exactly the same as a US game. So about the game, Ratchet & Clank looks truly gorgeous. It's a super fun game, I am happy to have it, and Returnal is also looking pretty solid so far. I like a good challenge and it's looking promising. I'm a big fan of Housemarque. Nex Machina on the PlayStation 4 is one of my favorite games on that console, and this clearly has an addictive gameplay loop, however frustrating it may be. Just like Nex Machina actually, and I enjoy it. I'm sure I will like Returnal very much. Okay, now let's mix things up. I got a few games here and the controller required to play them. This is the Donkey Kong Bongos. This is something that I always wanted to have, and it's required to play 3 games on the GameCube. Donkey Konga, Donkey Konga 2, and Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. It Took me a long time to get a GameCube for myself. Back in the day I would borrow it from friends back then, so I had never played with the bongos until now, and those are all the games that support them on the GameCube. In Japan there is one more, that's Donkey Konga 3, but we didn't get that, and I'm not getting a Japanese GameCube and bongos just for that, no way. But the games are pretty cool, obviously very unique because of the bongos. You hit the two sides and it also has a microphone for clapping, or you can tap the sides of the bongos for the same effect, your choice. It's pretty cool. I'm terrible at them, but I plan on playing them all the way through soon. I really enjoy unusual games like this. Kongas 1 and 2 are rhythm games, but Jungle Beat is a platformer, so this is a rather different one, and it's the best one out of the three in my opinion. There's also a Wii version of Jungle Beat, but it plays more like a regular platformer, so they ramped up the difficulty to compensate for the easier controls in that version, which is also available on the Wii U Virtual Console. I talked about that in the Virtual Console video I made recently. You can check that out in the description or in the top right corner if you wish, but I was drawn to the unusual controls, so I'm sticking with the GameCube version for this. Really happy about these pickups. Those are some of my favorite this time, and I'm really gonna make great use of them, and I'm even planning on getting a second set of bongos to play with the family. That would be cool. Still on GameCube games, I got The Legend of Zelda: Four Swords Adventures. This is the only Zelda game I was missing among the GameCube ones. I actually don't own the GameCube versions of the other two. I have the Wii U HD versions of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, but I'm happy with those because, like I said, I had already played through the GameCube Zelda games, all of them including this one, back in the day when I borrowed the GameCube. And despite considering myself a game collector, I don't care about having each version of the same game, not at all. I actually don't like that. I'd rather have just one version, but for Four Swords Adventures, this is, to this day, the only version. And it's a great game. It's overlooked because it's not on the same level of production value as Twilight Princess or Wind Waker, for instance, but it's a damn fine game. I love it. I actually missed it a lot. It's a rather different one with how you control all four links at once, ordering them into formations. It's very combat focused and fast paced too, not only in the combat but in the structure, dividing it into stages, which is unusual for a Zelda game. Again, it's not in the same level of epicness of a bigger Zelda game, but an awesome game for sure. I will certainly play this the whole way through once again. And the final GameCube game this time is a rather elusive, collectible and sought after game. It's Baten Kaitos Origins. This game comes in 2 discs, which is unusual for a GameCube game, and I found a pretty good condition case with manual for a below average price. This was a great find actually. The game is a prequel to the original Baten Kaitos, pretty much with the same style of gameplay. It's a turn-based RPG with a card-based battle system, but it's a pretty cool one. In the environments outside of battle, you can use blank cards to absorb elements, items, and even gear that you find by exploring. It's kinda cool actually. There is a major fourth wall breaking in this game, which can be jarring for some people. The characters talk straight to the player, who takes the role of a guardian spirit. It's kinda weird, I agree, but not a huge deal in my opinion. I liked what I've played of it so far. Despite the card-based battle system, it feels like a traditional style RPG very much, and I cannot get enough of those. It's my favorite genre of video games actually. Okay, changing gears once again, let's go back to PlayStation. I got 3 games on the PlayStation 4 this time, starting with Redout. I got this one a few months ago in preparation for the F-Zero project, which is my most recent upload before this one, where I do a complete F-Zero retrospective, plus I cover a whole bunch of F-Zero-like games, and Redout is a highlight among them for sure. Both Redouts actually. But as far as I know, Redout 2 didn't get a physical release, so I got that one digitally. But this is a fantastic fast racing futuristic game, seriously. It's one of the best ones out there for sure. The graphics are gorgeous, the controls are demanding but offer a lot of depth. It's pretty dope. If you're into fast racing games, give this one a try for sure, and check out my F-Zero video for more options too. Then this next one is one that I always wanted to play, but I completely forgot about the existence of this game for some reason. It's Geometry Wars 3: Dimensions Evolved. I played the hell out of Geometry Wars Galaxy on the Wii and even more of Geometry Wars 2 on the Xbox 360. I got obsessed with that game for a good amount of time, so I'm happy to finally jump into 3. I think it's not as good as 2, but I'm liking it so far. You can move in 3-dimensional shapes this time, and there are power-ups and upgrades, so it lost some of its arcade purity of the previous ones, but I'm okay with that. This is a pretty awesome twin-stick shooter. Highly recommended. And the last PlayStation 4 game I got this time is a rather obscure one. Have you ever heard of Batbarian: Testament of the Primordials? I got this physical version from Red Art Games. It's pretty cheap over there, 20 bucks. It comes with a sleeve and a poster inside. Batbarian is a Metroidvania and a really good one. As per the name, you're a barbarian with a pet bat following you along, but it's a glowing bat, and his light is used to unlock all manner of doors and switches around the dungeon. But you don't control the bat directly. You need to throw fruit that the bat likes to guide him. It reminds me of Boy and His Blob in a sense. You have several types of fruit, with the regular one making him chase it, eat it immediately and return, but others have other effects, like making him stick to walls for time while you do other things. This gameplay dynamic is used in many clever ways, with great level design and clearly made with a lot of care. It's quite excellent actually. Try this one out if you're into Metroidvanias for sure. Now let's move on to the Xbox. I just got one Xbox 360 game this time. It's Perfect Dark Zero. When this game came out, I was under the impression from critics that it was a mediocre shooter, nowhere near the excellency of the N64 original, which I played all the way through back in the day and I loved it, but recently I found a real cheap offering online, so I looked it up again and it actually got all sorts of reviews. Some gave it 6s and 7s, while others gave it 9s, so I decided to give it a shot. I'm liking it so far. Let me know in the comments what you think of this, because it seems like a controversial game. Now let's move on to the 3DS. As you probably already know, I am all over the 3DS recently. I've been making a lot of videos covering everything before the eShops close. So this system has gotten a lot of my attention and I've been discovering and remembering a lot of games for it. So one that is completely a highlight this time is Etrian Mystery Dungeon. I actually recorded myself breaking the seal on this. I was really seeking out this one because it has been delisted from the eShop a few years ago. So the only option we have is the physical for this. And I'm sure it's gonna become more and more expensive as time goes on. This edition comes with a great looking artwork with all the classes and townspeople, as well as a soundtrack CD. The game is obviously a mix of mystery dungeon gameplay with the Etrian Odyssey franchise. Some people love it and some people hate it, but I like what I've played so far of it. Really great sense of exploration here. I also got two other Etrian Odyssey games this time. Etrian Odyssey Untold, The Millennium Girl, and Etrian Odyssey 2 Untold, The Fafnir Knight. This version of Untold 1 is the collector's edition with a art book and soundtrack. The box is all beat up, but I'm okay with that. It was the least expensive of all three. And Untold 2, I got just the game in a regular case. If you don't know, these are the retellings of the two original Etrian Odysseys on the Nintendo DS. But now telling a more fleshed out story with a focus on characters and narrative, instead of only about the dungeons, like the regular games on the series. They're pretty cool. If you're interested in the Etrian Odyssey series and have never played any of them, I'd say go straight for the Untold games, cause they also offer a classic mode if you want. Next is Fantasy Life. This one I mentioned in the DLC, the 3DS DLCs video. I actually didn't own it back then, but I asked you guys if it was a great game because I had just found out that it was a level 5 game, and you guys confirmed it, and I got it, and I have no regrets. This physical copy, believe it or not, comes with a manual of sorts. It's one of those that unfolds like this, which is not ideal, I agree, but works pretty well in this case as it has a map which looks great unfolded like this. The game is so far really promising with a great gameplay loop and awesome sense of exploration. Plus the production value here is through the roof, true to level 5's pedigree. They're great developers that are sorely missed. They kinda left the Western market nowadays. And like I said in the DLC video, the extra content here is pretty important, unlocking Origin Island, which is the post-game content and a real meaningful one. Check out the DLC video I made for every single DLC available on the 3DS and Wii U. Another one that I covered in the 3DS DLCs video is LBX Little Battler's Experience. I think this is a pretty obscure one. It's yet another level 5 game that I did not know about prior to making the DLC video, and it's an awesome hidden gem. I know it doesn't look like it, mostly because it's somewhat of a childish premise, but the gameplay is excellent. There is also an incredible amount of customization to be done to the toy robots. I will cover this game in the future once I play it some more, but I can already see that the game plays rather well. Moving on to Mario Golf World Tour. This is a pretty well received Mario Golf game. I actually didn't know that until I once again did the DLC video. That DLC video opened my eyes to a lot of games. This one I have not played yet, so I can't speak much about it, but at least it was surprisingly inexpensive. So if you're into golf games, this may be a good option. The DLC unlocks a bunch of new courses and characters too, which are all pretty meaningful. This next one, I believe, is currently the last physical release for 3DS. It's Andros Dunos 2. And I say currently because Limited Run has announced to be releasing Go-Go Coca-Polo in physical form, which is awesome by the way because that game is so far digital only. They're actually promising two versions of it, one with the 3DS game and another with the DS game also included, the original Go-Go Coca-Polo. And that one is nowadays lost in the void because it was also a digital exclusive DSiWare game, so that's the even better version for collectors for sure. But I digress. We're talking about Andros Dunos 2. This one also comes with a manual of sorts, a 2 pages manual, better than nothing I guess, but it does feature a nice story explanation, which I appreciate. This is a typical side-scroller shoot 'em up, a pretty excellent one actually. I know there is only a niche audience for this, but I'm certainly included in it. This physical version was released by Pixel Heart, and there are also PlayStation 4 and Switch versions of it too, but I believe that the 3DS one is the more likely to become collectible, and I really think that the game's visuals fit the 3DS the best, so that's the one I went for. Alright, almost done with the 3DS games. Next we have Runbow Pocket Deluxe Edition. This is an excellent game. It is also on the Switch, Wii U, PlayStation 4, Xbox, Steam, all over the place. But the interesting thing about this version is that it is one of the rare 3DS games exclusive to the new 3DS model, and it's super cheap. So I got this version of it, which was supposed to come with the DLC. I bought this one sealed, as well as a theme for the 3DS, but both are no longer valid, unfortunately. Not a big problem because seriously, this one was really cheap, like 10 bucks, so it's no issue. I bought the DLC, and even then it was less expensive than other physical versions of this game. Runbow is a pretty great platformer by the way. It has a multiplayer appeal, but the single player mode is also excellent, and that's the one I'm interested in. Great game, Runbow. And finally, to close the 3DS section, I have two Monster Hunter games, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate and 4 Ultimate. Monster Hunter has always been a hole in my gaming life. I had never played any single one of them, but I've always been interested. The only problem was the sheer length of each game, which was intimidating. But I finally decided to start playing them because they are right up my alley. I'm a big action RPG fan. However, I have a bit of a OCD problem. Whenever I start playing a new series, whenever possible, I want to begin with the first one. So yeah, you can see where this is going. I got Monster Hunters 1 and 2 as well. I went for the PSP versions of Monster Hunters 1 and 2. It's all very confusing by the way. I had to do a little research to find out which are the most complete versions of these games, and as far as I could tell, the PSP versions are it. The originals are on the PlayStation 2, and Japan has a lot of other versions, but the PSP are the ones to go as far as I could tell, with extra features and all. They changed the names though, making it even more confusing. One is Monster Hunter Freedom, which makes it seem like a spin-off, and 2 is Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, which makes it seem like it's an enhanced version of Monster Hunter Freedom. Seriously, these companies need to learn how to name their games, man, jeez. But anyway, 2 here is the European version, because the PSP is region free, and they both come with black and white manuals, which is lame, but whatever. I also got Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate for the Switch, so with all these 5 games, I have months and months of monster hunting ahead of me. But hey, I already started playing Freedom, you know, knocked a bunch of quests already, feeling really good about it. The gameplay is tight, even if a little stiff, but clearly awesome games, all of these, I'm sure. And next we have 2 lesser known Resident Evil games on the Wii. Resident Evil The Umbrella Chronicles and Resident Evil The Dark Side Chronicles. Here they are with glorious colored manuals with loads of details on all characters and story. Oh man, I miss manuals like this. Both games here are light gun on rails first-person shooters. I know a lot of people have reservations about them because games like this can be gimmicky, but that's not the case here for sure. They are awesome games of this kind, like really good. You can't ask much more than this when it comes to on-rails light gun games. The Wii Remote functions really well. You also use the nunchucks sometimes. There's a lot to do, from breaking objects in the environment for items to choosing paths, and the shooting is on point with lots of weapons and everything you could expect from a Resident Evil game. It even tells events never before seen in any other game, so both are rather meaningful for fans of the series. And out of these two, Darkside Chronicles is the more important one in my opinion, not only because it's a bit better and more refined, both in presentation as well as in gameplay, but it's also only found in physical version. Umbrella Chronicles is available on the Wii U Virtual Console. I covered it recently when it was discounted by Capcom, and by the way, I will cover it some more in the next Virtual Console video, which is coming soon, so stay tuned for that. But Darkside Chronicles is not available through Virtual Console, only this physical version, and as you can see from the footage, it is pretty awesome. I'm having a blast with this, seriously. So yeah, if you see this at a good price, pick it up, it's worth it. Both of them are, and luckily they're not too expensive right now.
Sleep, my love, as the trees above protect you from the dark. Our great river will watch you as you dream until
Leon.
dawn. Sleep, my love, close your eyes.
Now moving on to the PlayStation 2, I got 2 items, or 4 items depending on how you look at it. This first one is a obscure, very obscure Squaresoft game, The Bouncer. This is a brawler, can you believe it? A brawler from Square. It was still Squaresoft at this point. And look at the characters' designs. This is so PlayStation 2 era Tetsuya Nomura, it hurts. We have blonde guy with horns. The main character looks very similar to Sora from Kingdom Hearts, but this game came 2 years before Kingdom Hearts. So Sora ripped off this guy and not the other way around. I am joking, of course, they are both from Tetsuya Nomura. Then this other guy with tattoos on his face and everyone wearing these dystopian future crazy fashion clothes. It's corny and cool at the same time. I don't know how Nomura does it. Gameplay wise, the combat is surprisingly deep with RPG stuff to upgrade your stats and works pretty well if you give it time to learn and unlock the new combinations. On the negative side, this game is as linear as it gets. There is no freedom to explore, only the next brawling stage and cutscenes in between, that's it. But a decent game for sure. I believe this has been getting more and more recognition lately. It's a cult classic nowadays, I believe. And this next one's pretty cool. A few months ago we saw the pathetic release of GTA, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. It received a lot of well-deserved backlash due to a bunch of bugs, awful rework on character models, AI enhancements to graphics without human supervision, and the fact that they are all on top of the mobile parts, which were inferior in many aspects, and just the overall disregard with which Rockstar higher-ups are treating their own games. But it also served to remind me that I don't own any of these games and I have not completed any of them, although I played every single one but haven't completed them. So I got the actual, real, the Trilogy edition that comes in this nice sleeve with all the 3 games. I was really happy with this decision. I much rather give money to some guy who kept this for 15 years than to Rockstar for that pathetic job with the quote-unquote definitive edition, especially considering that they delisted the existing digital versions of the 3 games so people would be forced to get the new one. Screw you, Rockstar. I'm playing all these GTA games again and you're not getting any money for it. Go to hell. Like I said, I played all of them back in the day, but I never finished any of them despite getting really far in GTA 3, but back then I used bootleg stuff because I was a broke-ass student and my memory card deleted itself and I lost my whole progress and never came back. The other 2 games I never owned but played in friends' houses, so I'm actually looking forward to finally playing them properly. And now for the final section we have the Switch, beginning with a big one, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Okay, this is impressive. I am a big Kirby fan, I played a lot of Kirby games already, and recently they have been making some pretty excellent entries on the series, among the mainline games I mean. In the 3DS, Triple Deluxe is awesome, Planet Robobot is even better, then Star Allies is kinda meh, but now this one is a home run. This is the best Kirby game I've ever played, for sure, and I've been playing Kirby games since the Game Boy. I'm not gonna spoil it here, but the final part of Forgotten City before the regular ending is a blast, seriously. This game is awesome. I'm gonna do the post-game stuff now, I can't wait. The next one is also a high-profile release, it's Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers edition. Before we get to it, can I just say how disappointed I get when I open a game and I'm greeted with a completely blank back of the cover like this, especially when it comes from a big company like Square Enix. I mean, come on. So many awesome locations and characters they could have used here, but instead decided to save some pennies and we get nothing here. Just lame. Anyway, I usually don't double dip with games. I already got Chrono Cross for the PlayStation 1, but I had to get this one as it's the first formal localization and release of Radical Dreamers, which is a precursor to Chrono Cross. It's not deemed canonical to the series, it's seen as an incomplete game by the developers, but it has always been a curiosity of mine, and I'm liking it so far. Radical Dreamers is a text-based novel where you make choices and read a lot. It's similar to the Suiko Gaiden games on the PlayStation 1, but with less visuals. And I will also make good use of Chrono Cross, because I have not seen every ending that that game has to offer yet, so I'm looking forward to that too. This next one is one that I reviewed and liked it very much. This is A Record of Lodoss War, Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth. I liked this so much that I decided to get the collector's edition physical version from Redout Games. This comes with a beautiful art book full of details, characters, enemies, everything. Even a sort of timeline for the entire series. It's pretty cool. As well as a soundtrack CD. The game is fantastic, it's very similar to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, with awesome gameplay, introducing some cool mechanisms, and the boss fights are some of the best ever for Metroidvania games. Seriously, take a look. This is a great title, among the best Metroidvanias ever in my opinion, so do check it out if you're into those. And next is my absolute favorite indie game of the last year, 2021, Eastward. This is the Japanese version. I got it from Play Asia. It's less expensive than the European version. It comes with a sticker sheet, and seriously, what are we supposed to do with this? I mean, they look great, but what object is worth sticking such fine, unique stickers that I will never have again? Seriously, I'm asking you, where would you put those? Because it has to be some special place that makes sense putting stickers on, that you look at often so you can appreciate the stickers, and also somewhere that will last a long time. So laptops, for instance, are already out of the question because they don't last that long and you don't look at their back enough. So seriously, where would you put those? Or are you like me and will probably never use them ever? But anyway, Eastward is a freaking amazing game. It's a beautifully well-told story in a weird dystopian future. It looks gorgeous, has very likable and relatable characters, and great gameplay, kind of like Zelda. It's pretty excellent. Check out my 21 best indie games of 2021 videos for more details. Link in the description and in the top right corner. Then another one that I feature in the same videos that I just mentioned is Flynn, Son of Crimson. This is a great version from Super Rare here. It's one of my favorite physical Switch games so far. Regular ones, non-collectible editions I mean. It has a beautiful cover art, a mini art book with gorgeous drawings, some cards courtesy of Super Rare, and a map of the land behind all that. I love this physical version here. And the game too. It's an action platformer with great gameplay, soundtrack and story, loads of different places to visit, great challenges, and a guardian beast that you ride on. Just fantastic. Flynn, Son of Crimson, check it out. Moving on to a compilation. This is Alwa's collection. This This is another one that comes with stickers. Again, let me know any good ideas what to do with stickers, seriously. This is a compilation of the two Alwa games, Alwa's Awakening and Alwa's Legacy, and they are both excellent Metroidvanias. I already finished Awakening and it's a great game. This is a different style of Metroidvania, more focused on platforming and puzzle solving, while the action is reserved more for the boss fights. The protagonist Zoe is equipped with a staff that she can use to create green blocks, a blue bubble or a yellow lightning bolt unlocked as you progress, and those are used in many interesting and clever ways. Legacy improves the graphics drastically, going for a more 16-bit style instead of 8-bit, and so far seems even better than Awakening. I'm loving it. If you're into authentic retro games in both look and feel, these two are certainly among the best options on the Switch. Next is Pocky and Rocky Reshrined. This is a remake of the SNES Pocky and Rocky, which I had never played before. I finished Pocky and Rocky 2, which I loved very much, so I'm happy to play this one now. This physical copy comes from Strictly Limited. It has a great looking manual with artwork and a nice cover and back cover. Gameplay wise, Pocky and Rocky is a different kind of top-down shoot 'em up. Instead of controlling the usual spaceship, you control Pocky and Rocky in co-op as well, with more freedom of movement, lots of power-ups to get, and enemies to kill. This is a tough game, that's for sure, but it's also not very long at all. And I'm happy to see it reworked with great visuals now on the Switch. Great game here if you're into those. This next one is a really cool game. This is from Pixel Heart. It's Okinawa Rush. This physical version is from Pixel Heart, but it didn't have a manual, which is kind of disappointing. Only the typical certificate of authenticity that Pixel Heart puts in all game copies. Gameplay-wise, Okinawa Rush is a side-scroller brawler, but a much more involved one, where you gather all sorts of items, find many secrets, and improve your combat moves as you go on. The controls are weird at first, there's a purposeful stiffness to the jumping, and the combat moves are methodical, requiring precise inputs. But a joy to learn because the gameplay feels great, with fast-paced action and a lot of enemies on screen at once. This is a rather excellent brawler. You can take a look online, it got scores up to 9s. Moving on to fantastic Sayonara Wild Hearts. This is another disappointing inside of the box. Even worse than having the inside be totally blank is to have some meaningless legal stuff written on it. I mean, they took the time to print something in the back, but couldn't be bothered to make some artwork for it. Come on. This bothers me more than it should, I know. Anyway, Sayonara Wild Hearts is a doozy, let me tell you. I don't even know what type of game this would be. They call it a pop album video game, which is a surprisingly fitting description, but only if you already played it. If you haven't yet, I guess this is like a racing game against obstacles more so than anything else. It's all about fast reactions, placing yourself in the correct position, and learning the stage and the enemy's patterns. But it does all this in the coolest way possible, always changing the gameplay in significant ways from stage to stage, plus it plays, looks, and sound psychedelic and fantastic as hell throughout the entire game. This is a must-play in my opinion, and the physical version was incredibly cheap for some reason. Look it up if you're interested. I think it's a good time to get this. Next is The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. This physical version has a great looking cover art. I really like the use of colors here, and it also comes with an art book and music voucher to download. This is a compilation that features the Great Ace Attorney Adventures and the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, which take place in a different time period during the Meiji period of Japan's history, which makes it instantly interesting to me. I love when games depict different time periods like this. These are also great games if you're into the series, and it's fascinating to see a judicial system during the time of its formation. Great games here that I think flew over the radar of most people, even among Ace Attorney fans. And now we have Superliminal. This also comes from Super Rare Games. It's a rather excellent physical version with a fourth wall breaking instruction manual, quite interesting actually, and the typical Super Rare cards. Superliminal is a really interesting first-person puzzle game where you can bend sizes of objects through the magic of forced perspective. It also has a very compelling message to the player by the end. This is a must-play for puzzle fans in my opinion, and it looks and plays great on the Switch. And finally, the absolute highlight of this bunch of pickups in my opinion. The game's right here, but this is actually the final big box. Brigandine, The Legend of Runerzia. I'm confused as to the pronunciation for this. Brigandine is the actual English pronunciation, while the game is spoken in Japanese and the narrator says Brigandine. So, you know, you choose, I'm mixing them up. But about the collector's edition, look at this. This is beautiful. It's for sure one of my favorite collector's editions ever. No exaggeration. You're seeing the footage of me breaking the seal on it. My absolute favorite thing about collector's editions is when it comes with an art book. I like it even more than statues or other bigger objects like that. And Brigandine has one of the best art books ever, seriously. Just take a look. Look at the concept arts and designs. The amount of detail for each character here is amazing. This edition even comes with a letter from the character design artist. He is certainly the MVP for this game. It also comes with a map printed in cloth, a bunch of postcards, and a soundtrack with 38 songs in 2 CDs. So yeah, pretty cool collector's edition right here. The game itself is very deep and demanding. It's a strategy RPG with so much stuff. Right off the bat you choose from 5 different characters for the campaign, so the replay value here is through the roof. Every one of them has a different story. Each faction will have a bunch of different units, and each human unit will have all sorts of equipments. On the map you choose where to attack and defend your positions, while the battles themselves are hexagonal style grid based, which is pretty cool. You move each unit individually and they have different skills. The battles are rather long, which may be a turn off for some, but the gameplay is overall pretty solid. I'm liking it so far. This is a sequel to the PlayStation 1 exclusive just called Brigandine, but I don't think you need to have played that one to fully appreciate this. And that's it for the second edition of Pickups from the Void. Hope you enjoyed, found out about a few games. If you did, leave a like so that the algorithm knows that it should suggest this to more people. And the next video is gonna be the second part of the top 50 upcoming Metroidvanias, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.